What is up, everybody, and welcome to a new season of Random Nerdy Shits. Took a while for this for for season 3 to begin. A lot of things have been happening, so we're gonna catch you guys up. One thing that's never gonna change is Lewis's closet is always open. I don't know why that's still open.
Well, to give you some nightmarish streams, like that's a starter. It's up to you to guess which one it correctly is. That's one of the. Is it one of my disguised Pikachu's? No, it is a starter Pokemon. It's up to you to figure out which one it is. It's like, guess which Pokemon that is.
You know, we're not going to talk about the Pokemon stuff, but I do want to know your thoughts on our childhood just fading away now, with Ash Ketchum just pretty much just ending its run, the whole 26-year run of Ash Ketchum.
It's about time.
It's about time, really?
30-something-year-old.
It's 26 years. It's 26 years. I mean, like, are we not acknowledging the fact that he has that rare disease that you don't grow up kind of thing?
No, because he's still 30 because he started at 10 years old.
No. So I don't know if you've seen the TLC show with this girl who's like 8 years old, but really she's 25, because apparently she had like a tumor in her brain. They removed the tumor, but there's a part of your brain that actually tells your body to grow, and
that was part of it.
It was damaged at 8 years old. So now she's 25, but she's in the body of a 8-year-old.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. But yeah, so are we not gonna acknowledge that Ash Ketchum has that disease? Like, this man is 26 years old. I'm sure he's 26 or at least 30 something. Because, like, how old did he start when he started leaving Pallet Town?
Everybody starts at 10.
At 10 years old. So 26 years later, so it's like a 36-year-old man right now, and no one's acknowledging this at all.
Your Disney lore is stupendous for this Ash Ketchum character. you're up there with like those dudes that like, oh, Ash Ketchum's first like world tournament, he was like very low ranked, and then as he did more and more, he raised up to ranks higher and higher, which is not really a thing you do.
Yeah,
sure, you get better, but that doesn't mean you'll be higher ranked.
Yeah,
there's like your second world tournament, you can rank one, and then your last place in the other. It's just metas. And Ash Ketchum doesn't seem to play the meta game.
How are you feeling about Ash Ketchum just kind of leaving? I know you said it's about time, but like, did you really like? They tried many Pokemon movies without Ash Ketchum, and that didn't work. I mean, only the TV shows and the mangas actually work with Ash Ketchum.
Most of them had him in it. I don't remember one which didn't, unless you know one.
There's a bunch of like Pokemon shows that didn't have.
I mean, there's mini clips and series that they were doing, but they had nothing really to do with like a long form like series like with Ash Ketchum. Ash Ketchum was in everything except the shorts.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
But like, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm never gonna argue or die on a hill anymore. That's great for me.
I think it was. I think. I mean, like, I think it's kind of weird without him. I mean,
I'm fine. My problem is like I would have preferred them like every 10 years.
Yeah.
Went to a new person.
Yeah.
And then we saw glimpses of the previous trainer.
The old one.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have liked it if it was a generation.
And the 30th year anniversary could have been like, that's Ash's Ketchum's son.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's what I think would have been nice. I think it would have been nice if they did end the Ash Ketchum thing like years ago, and then just kind of progress with Ash Ketchum's son or daughter or twins or whatever you want.
The twins would have been a nice like aspect to the pick.
It would have been a nice
you're
touch.
A boy and a girl from the beginning of all the Pokemon games. Nowadays, you can just be any gender or skin tone you want, which is really cool. But I feel like Clothes customization. I want to look cooler.
I'm trying to fix something on the TV. Sorry about that.
Oh, you normally have a movie going on. What's up with that?
Yeah. No, well, I was focused on
Whatever.
something else. But I think it would have been nice because let's just say on the 30th anniversary, it would have been nice to do like a callback or like some sort of
like a training like montage with
like a
like Ash
montage of what happened,
Ketchum
like
training
what
somebody.
happened exactly, like how like Ash probably like met his wife or something like that,
Or who cares? Or maybe he's met with this new guy that you're trying to like, and Ash Ketchum is either the last gym leader or one of the Elite Four, or some like nice like I don't know Easter egg.
Write it, dude. Write it. Write it now.
And then the only reason why you know is because he still has his iconic hats and Pikachu's just on his shoulder.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just wanted to know your thoughts on that too as well. But you know, there's a lot of things that we got to talk about. We got to catch up to as well. We got to catch everybody up since
you know me, bro. Always move forward.
Like the last time that we did this was like a couple of months ago. It would be like 6 months actually. What YouTube is reminding me. There's a lot of things that have happened. One prominent thing is the fact that we have a sponsor now. That's actually pretty cool.
Oh, so, as a sidetrack, I met Orlando recently. And then the way apparently he said that we formatted the show said like we made the tone made it seem like we're never gonna do the show again. Even though we didn't say anything like that, it's just like oh, and you guys haven't done a show in 6 months, so I was like, oh, that was the last episode.
I didn't even notice that. It was really.
Yeah, if we did a whole like bit about like that was the last episode.
That's crazy. I didn't even think about that.
And then right before this, we just like, okay, we lied.
But it's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like you never know what's the last episode of Always Sunny because they're always out for like 2-3 years or something.
You can always count that the last episode is the last episode that you want it to be. They really do not give two fucks on
like how Mac did his interpretation dance. I'm like, that would have been a nice.
That would have been ending. A nice end.
That would have been a nice ending too as well, right?
Yeah. So he did a lot of training for that dance.
Yeah.
And from what he said, he felt like he still didn't nail it.
But yeah, so one of the things is that yes, we do have a new sponsor now, which is I'm actually very glad to announce. Which reminds me, we should actually pay bills right now. Don't worry about this. I'm gonna edit it out. I'm gonna put the thing on it. So yeah,
wow, so that was a really good transition.
So our new sponsor is Drip, Drip Shop Live. Drip Shop Live essentially is a live selling app for built by collectors for collectors. So if you collect a lot of comic books, high-end comic books, obviously first appearances, like an ASM 300 or an ASM 252, or a Spectacular Spider-Man number 90, you know, those kind of high-end stuff that you've been collecting and you want to part ways with them, you will get the price that you are looking for. So that is on Drip Shop Live. So make sure if you have an Apple or you have Android, go ahead and download Drip Shop Live. It is for free to download Drip Shop Live. And you saw my QR code there. Go ahead and scan that QR code and you get $15 on your first purchase there. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. That's on Android and Apple and all devices in there, Drip Shop Live. So speaking of
also as a marketing thing, you can edit this out. They should probably separate the R and the I a little bit more because I thought that said DNP.
Like this right, DNP. So but yeah, so a lot of things have happened too as well. Again, we have our sponsor now, which is great. And I'm gonna start with what have you been up to first, Lewis? Let's do a highlight of what you and I have been up to since I believe November, because that was the last time. Because I remember calling you and telling you happy birthday because your birthday was on.
You edit that out.
The 12th, right?
Yeah, sure. It's the 12th. Yeah, 100%.
So I remember calling you and texting you and said happy birthday. and then you said you're gonna do it on my birthday, but then you still forgot, so you have no idea where my birthday is.
We can edit this bit out. Is at the end of
it could be
October?
anything in November, man. It'll be like the end of November. It doesn't matter.
It's
But
the end.
anyways,
It's the end of October, isn't it?
it's the end of November. But anyways,
Is it?
so
Damn, we share
so
the same month too and everything.
so
Forget
that
every
was the
year.
last. So that was the last time that we spoke because there's a lot of things that happened. I will say I will do a highlight on what happened on our podcast since then. I went back on our podcast and I did a single podcast explaining about what happened with the acetate gates. That was the last thing that we did together. It was the acetate gates. It was a whole debacle, and still is. It's a whole debacle with the acetate gate. That was the last thing that we did together. And there's no part two. I will get to that. We haven't done any part two on it, and I think it should have just ended in part one, but that's okay.
I mean, it's already old news. Let's move forward.
Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't do a part two on it, and if anybody's interested, I'll tell you why. But it's not worth mentioning it in here because there's a lot more things that we need to cover. But on your end, Lewis, what have you been up to since the last time that we did this podcast?
Mostly working, making a very astute choice not to have children. Seeing my GNA tracks, and it's not good. It's a bunch of almost doctors and getting bored.
Why, you almost had a child? Is that what you're saying?
No.
I didn't think so.
And
I mean,
because I'm Cuban, everybody thinks like I know you have somebody out there.
I mean, like that's not a knock on you, but I didn't think that you would have a child.
Playing this game now.
What is that?
Matters. It's a trading card game called Grand Archive. Irrelevant.
Is that one of the crowdfunding that you supported again?
Yeah. That was like a year ago. It was supposed to be a lot sooner, but with
you know how I know that you have good taste on crowdfunding is I saw an episode in South Park where they were playing D&D games, and the episode didn't want any girls to partake on it. So Carmen was mentioning all these games. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna play this. They're like, oh yeah, I know about that game. We did this that. And then we're gonna play this game. He's like, yeah, we know about that game. And then he brought in
the pirate one.
He's like, actually, we're gonna play the 16-hour game. Nemesis. Yeah, the 16-hour game Nemesis. I was like, how the fuck did they know about Nemesis, man? I thought Lewis is the only one who knows about Nemesis.
It's a good game. Awakened Realms is a great. Listen, anybody, if you go to like Games Found, they do all their crowdfunding there. Awakened Realms has such high quality board games, but it's like advanced board games. It's impossible to set up, but when you do, it's so good.
If nobody knows what Nemesis is, this game, Lewis brought in this game when we had a store in Miami before we sold it. Lewis brought in this game about what time was it? It was like I think 5 p.m. 5 p.m. I think you came to the store at 5 p.m. or 3 p.m. You came to the store. I think it was 3 p.m. It was 3 p.m.
I had this giant
because I remember it was during the time when we were doing the tournament there, the Smash Bros tournament. It was 3 p.m. You came, and you said that you and the guys were going to play a new board game that you supported in crowdfunding called Nemesis. And you're like, this is the longest fucking game that you will ever see us play. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but sure, yeah, just go in the back. And the back room that we had actually has like a camera there because it was like a gaming section. It has like a 60-inch TV, a couch, and a table. And there's a glass wall. So from the inside of the store, you can see through it, right? And Lewis is like, yeah, it's like a 16-hour game and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, whatever. So they were there, and who was there? It was Orlando was there.
Eugene was there. Roberto and George.
And George.
Maybe.
Yeah, George was there. I remember. Yeah, George was there. And then they started playing it. and then 6 o'clock came along, and then we had the tournament, and they're still playing it. And then the video game tournament lasted until about 10 p.m.
Wow.
11 p.m.
By the time it was 12, they finally finished.
Yeah, and they were still playing, and I was like, okay, well, lock up the store, and that'll be fine. So the next day, I checked the cameras.
It's like 2 or 3 in the morning.
And these fuckers were still there at 3 a.m. I was like, this is a fucking 12-hour game. And they weren't even done. I don't think you guys left until like 4 a.m.
Luckily, so the game has an auto win or lose situation that doesn't allow you to go any further.
Yeah.
And we all died.
Because the only reason why, and I think you told me the reason why it took so long is because Eugene keeps on going against what you guys were doing or something like that. Like he could take one path and say
he
like
made it difficult specifically for me, and then out of pure bitterness, I made it specifically impossible for him to use his character because there's a certain thing that makes his character impossible to use, and I specifically did it.
Yeah. And then essentially you guys just went opposite, so that's why it took long for that game.
Like 3 hours of that game was just us arguing with each other.
And that game was like, so that was like that was like the longest game I've ever seen you guys play. But
believe it or not, I have an even longer game.
Jesus.
Okay, I have a 200-hour plus game now. And that's to get you through the tutorial.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to like
war on crack.
I just wanted to mention that game because it's called Nemesis and it was like the longest game ever. But yes, so what have you been up to since November, Lewis? So so for everybody who is watching us on the YouTube channel, go to our YouTube channel, TMAC01. For everyone's listening on Spotify, if you guys are not listening to Spotify, you guys are watching us on YouTube channel, go ahead and download Spotify. Find TMAC01 there. So for everybody who hasn't seen the background, your environment has changed a little bit, right?
No, we went through this last show 6 months ago.
Yeah, we went through the last show, but I haven't uploaded that yet. So, so your environment has changed a little bit. So, you've moved. You've moved now.
Yes.
Oh, you moved now. Okay, so you own your own apartment now. Nice. Take us a quick around. Can you do a tour? Is there some like malicious stuff that we cannot see, or can you like do like a pan a little bit?
I mean, the cable is super small, so I can only
kind of show you. Can you lift up your laptop and then just kind of like make a
This is not a laptop, baby. This is a giant behemoth of an 80 pounds of pure processing muscle.
So for everybody who's listening to us, what do you have there, Lewis?
Alrighty. Do you want me to go through the specs for no ass reason?
Just tell me what you have in there, and then we'll go to specs later. What is it?
I have a desktop.
It has a desktop. Okay, so
an 80-pound desktop.
An 80-pound desktop.
It's
so
he made out of glass at this point.
So you fancy now, because when we were doing this podcast, it was just laptop before. It wasn't even your It wasn't even your laptop at the time too, as well.
No,
it was your sister's laptop.
To lend me her laptop, and I was just being lazy. I could have bought a computer at any time. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah. So Lewis has his own apartment. He a bachelor pad. Can I call it a bachelor pad? It's not a bachelor
pad. You could, but it feels gross.
Okay, so he has his bachelor pad there. He has a huge fucking monitor. How sexy is that monitor, Lewis? Tell me some of the specs in there.
To be honest, are you talking about my monitor, or are you talking about my desktop?
Sorry, your desktop. Sorry, not your monitor.
First of all, the graphics cards is a GeForce RTX 3080 Ti graphics card. Corsair water coolant 64-bit OS, but it can go all the way up to 128.
Right.
The disk drive went up from like which I originally intending for a solid state drive. It's an M.2, which is a slightly more better solid state drive because it's just like a little microchip that goes directly into your motherboard.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at my computer, it's there's nothing in there. There's just this and that.
Well, there you go, man.
And I have a 12th generation i9 Intel.
So for all the ladies probably listening or watching, Bachelor Pads, and he has a huge desktop.
Ladies, don't try to rob that you're wasting your time.
But no, that's good, man. You moved out and all that stuff. We've been telling you to move out of your sister's place for the longest time, man. But
it's Florida. How can I afford it?
It's true too as well, man. So that's good that you moved out now. It's still within the Hialeah, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Close. Okay. Close to okay, there you go.
If you really want a thing, I mean, there's
Jesus Christ
there.
He's like showing us his
chopper. Room. No reason. I bought this at a Taco Fest just because it's a like chopper and I wanted it. More whatever the hell that is. Cards. There's some Funko Pops there that I'm going to get rid of.
Jesus, Lewis.
Candy. Some Red Bull. That.
What?
And then two monitors, and then this guy.
He has Funkos everywhere. Lewis, why does your room look like
serial killer's room?
No, it looks like a 13-year-old like just left home. Why don't you feng shui the whole place? Like put a little bit like decoration here and
also I mean like I noticed like, the empty walls.
Okay, like let me put it this way. I shouldn't be the one to talk, okay? That wall is still empty there, all right? I get it, right? But I'm saying is like, feng shui it up a little bit, man.
Feng shui it up. So you want me to put more money into furniture?
That's what being an adult is, man. Like you have, like being an adult is getting.
I have like the world's most unceremonious bed possible.
I know there's not even a comforter or anything. You're just
no, no. You missed it. I do have a comforter.
Okay.
And I live in Florida. I only get to use that thing 2 times a year.
Yeah, that's true. You don't actually need it, I guess.
It's like you need a comforter for Florida. You're
I guess crazy I guess you don't need.
Outside that door is the world's most boring bathroom. Keep going. The world's most boring living room that I don't use. Spiders have now made that living room or their living room.
But okay, so sorry. So you moved out, you got your own place. Got your own monitor and whatnot. I'm assuming everything's going well professionally, meaning work-wise, right? It had to be, right? It has to be. Right?
I have not stopped working for the last 6.
Are you a manager yet? Are you a manager yet at Nowhere Toys or no?
I'm still magically assistant manager. I don't still know who I'm assisting. Because it's not Tony.
Not the owner. Tony's the owner.
I have the most seniority between.
And you're the only one who takes care of like the comic book section there too as well.
Comics. I organize all the store all the time. I move shit around all the time. I basically actually manage downstairs. The only ordering I don't do is for toys, but that's only because Tony won't let go of that. But
which is fine. I mean, like you don't want to touch the toy section.
I kind of don't care because I would probably make too extreme of like a pivot change to what he orders. And yeah, I mean, I do all the comic books. He gave me basically a credit card, no limit.
When you want to buy something, Lewis?
You know who was? You'd think like I would like take a chance on a book a lot of times and then just like buy massive amounts of them.
I would.
No, the person that does that is Tony. He made me get 250 copies of Spawn Gunslinger because he wanted the Todd McFarlane autograph. And I begged him not to get that.
Oh, the 250 CGC one.
I think That went a little too far. Todd should have definitely done 1 in 100, not 250. That was
I
too
guess
much.
so. I guess so. I mean, but still, it was a nice gesture, I guess. I mean,
Believe it or not, over 1,000 people did it.
yeah, no, of course. Here's the thing about Todd McFarlane, and this is
Todd
a good,
McFarlane fans are real.
yeah, and this is going to be a good transition to what we're going to be talking about too as well. But you don't need an update from me. I'll just give you a quick update. Not really much. I still have a roommate. She's about turning 1 year old now. So she's turning 1 in like 2 weeks. So she's been running around, and I am now I signed an exclusive with Drip Shop live to do online selling. So you can always catch me there at TMac01. So I'm there now. I was on the other brand, so the yellow brand. So I can't say, I'm not gonna say it just because I don't want to give it any more promotion. But I was on the other brand. That was one hell of an experience, and it was, and not in a good way, but it's an experience nonetheless. But now, just getting everything set. So the new my new stream, my debut stream would be on April 4th for Drip Shop Live. So it's gonna be all giveaway. I'm giving away a Secret Wars 8, man.
CGC. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Secret Wars 8 CGC. So so for everyone hearing this too as well and watching this, make sure you download the app and use my QR codes, and then go ahead and follow and tag my shows in there. So so not that much. So we were talking about Todd's, and like I said, the man is smart because he's the only one who knows how to actually sell comic books. Let's be honest, right?
He knows how to market extremely well.
He knows how to market extremely very well, right? He knows how this goes, right? Period. He just knows. So what am I talking about? So essentially, what I want to get in touch today too, as well, we were talking about this, is I sent you a text a couple of days ago, right? I don't know if you remember. I sent you a text, and it was an image from CBR that says that in May, DC will be releasing swimsuit editions of your favorite character. Now, I sent it to you and I sent it to you via text, and I said with the caption, "Welcome back to the 90s," or the 90s starts again, or something like that, right? We've talked about this many times on our podcast, and it's so many times that we talked about it, and we've talked about it a long time ago too as well. It's probably in season 1 or 2. It's probably on We Got Issues too, actually. That the exclusive variant cover game, it's not sustainable, and it's gonna drive us back to probably the 90s again. If you guys aren't aware, what that means is that in the 90s, essentially it's commonly referred to as the dark ages of the comic books, because there's golden age, silver age, bronze age. The dark ages are the 90s, and then there's the modern age too as well. It's commonly known as the dark age within the comic book community, because during that time, Marvel was bankrupt. DC sales and comic book sales in general was not doing well whatsoever, right? Whatsoever. So the two companies did everything that they can. They did a crossover event, Marvel versus DC, and then on the Marvel side, what they did was they exploited all their characters and put them on banana hammocks and bathing suits. And it was literally, that's the only way that they can sell books at the time, because Marvel has flushed down all their money through trading cards. Now, before you say something about trading cards, okay, before this whole grading thing happened, like a year or two ago with CGC grading Marvel cards, prior to that, Nobody wanted those playing cards. Okay, nobody wanted. They were worth nothing. Okay, remember, Lewis? I had that folder with a bunch of trading cards in them.
I still to this day don't see how they got, what's the word, a resurgence.
Yeah, I still don't know how that happened too as well. But here's the thing: do you remember that binder that I had that had all the trading cards, and it was on top of the shelf at the back, and I said I had what to do with these, and I just threw it out.
Was it just like that one, like it was like a one random collection pickup that just happened to have the stuff, and you were like,
It was 2 folders full. It was huge folders full, and I just threw it out. And all those contain all first generation.
like series 1? Yeah, I
It
mean, you
was all
would have got.
series 1. But the thing was, nobody wanted them. And that's the very product that bankrupt Marvel and why they sold all their properties, right? No one have ever thought it was gonna have some sort of resurgence and people start grading them. I like you said, Lewis, till this day, I have no idea how the fuck did that get a resurgence and all of a sudden they're worth so much fucking money.
So at the same time, so did baseball cards.
Well, no, so okay, so here's the thing.
Even baseball cards are still weird.
Here's the thing: baseball cards, football cards, those are exception. Those have been being collected for fucking like years, for decades, right? Baseball cards being collected since like the 1930s, 1920s. Okay, that's an exception. I'm talking about the Marvel cards, and I'm talking about just those cards, period. Like Pokemon, like even Pokemon cards, I would say had a resurgence too as well. It's been popular, yes, but not to the point that it is at now. Can we agree on that? It wasn't that kind of popularity. You know what I mean?
Agree.
Like nobody was looking for a first generation Charizard at all, right? Like nobody was looking for those. Like if you had them, people were just like, yeah, so what? Big deal. Now they're like, you have it? How much do you want for it? $5,000? You know what I mean? Like it never had that, right? So until this day, I don't know how that resurgence happened, right?
A lot of like, I think it was a combination of people hyping up so many other products, and everybody thought that was like the sleeper.
Yeah.
And then somebody else picked it up, and then so forth and cascaded.
And essentially, what ended up happening in the 90s too as well is that yes, they couldn't sell a comic book and whatnot. So and then that was during the rise of Image Comics too as well, which everybody grabbed all the number ones, right? Every single number one, people grabbed them in like bunches, right? Not like 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. No, they grab them by like 50s, 100s, right? Every single number ones was grabbed during the 90s, right? So that became a thing in the 90s because people thought it was going to be worth something, even though it wasn't. So what ended up happening is that publishers, Marvel and DC, have over-published some number ones, and people were buying them, and then they were worth nothing at all, right? That's why it's called the dark ages of comic books, because when people bought all those number ones during the 90s, and then halfway through the 90s, when they were still producing those kind of number ones, nobody was buying them. So they were overproducing comic books that nobody was buying, and sales were low. After like the first wave, like I believe 91 till like I believe 93, 94. After that first wave, nobody wanted any comic books after that, and sales have been low. Comic book shops have been shutting down and all that stuff. And so they try to do whatever they can, bathing suit and all that stuff. So now DC is gonna try their hand on the bikinis and the whole bathing suit stuff, right? Now, what actually spawned all this? What do you think that spawned all this, Lewis? And we talked about this on the earliest podcast that we had. The early podcast that we had. You were still at your sister's house, and my camera was still sitting on top of my bed when we were doing a podcast, right?
That was your bed?
Yeah, that was my bed. So do you remember what it was? If you don't, no. So essentially, We were talking about exclusive variant covers.
Oh,
because they make them in thousands, right? And it's really hard to actually sell exclusive variant covers, and people would be just left with inventory of exclusive variant covers, and that was it. Do you know what I mean? So that basically contributed to the like we were talking about, that was going to contribute to the downfall of comic book sales, right? Which is what's happening now, which leads me back to exclusive variant covers again. This is going to be coming back to full circle. We talked about this in season 1 of Random Nerdy Shits. I said the exclusive variant covers is going to lead to the low sales of comic books because they're just going to pump them up like every day. Remember, that was during the time that Frankie's actually were doing Peach Momoko stuff. Like every fucking week they were doing Peach Momoko stuff. And what happened to Frankie's now? They filed for bankruptcy.
I mean,
and we use Frankie's as an example too as well. That was like 3 years ago. We were using Frankie's as an example because they were the only one who was pumping up all these Peach Momoko stuff. And I said that this is unsustainable. They cannot sell all those copies. In order to break even, they just need to sell like X amounts, right? Because we broke down how that actually works.
They extended too much. Rather than focusing on just trying to make this maybe like a once a year, twice a year thing, they just kept going. And there is such a thing as wallet fatigue. There is a limit to how much people, especially in the Peach Momoko like fan base, can and are willing to spend. They're not willing to spend $30 or $60 or $150 every month.
Yeah,
they should have done like once a year, and that would have been their big sale for the year, or something.
It's the thing is that so exclusive variant covers essentially contribute to, I believe, what's with the sales going on now. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that the sales for comic books have been dipping. A lot of people are saying it's been dipping just because they're working out of feeling. Does that make sense? Like, it's how you feel. Like, if I were to ask you, Lewis, how's comic book sales? What you know based on the sales and what you see,
I mean,
which is
that's not really fair. There's a difference between customer sentiment on a book versus actual sales numbers, which I have some kind of inkling to.
Yeah,
but for like you could say that about the current Hulk run.
See, the reason why I'm saying sales wise, Lewis, because I looked at the numbers for the sales for comic books. It has not been dipping. That's the thing. It's not
stagnant.
It's not dipping to the point that people feel like, oh my God, no one's buying comic books. No, it's not dipping at all. It actually increased by at least 30% from last year to this year. Right.
It's just so far that they're not happy with the current growth rate.
Well, so I would say so far, because the data actually says from 2020 to 2021, then 2021 to 2022. We don't have the data for 2023 yet, right? So the sales actually went up by at least 30% in there. Now, when you look at it individually, right, the sales for DC has declined, and we already talked about why that is, right? Because DC does have that whole agenda that they keep pushing on people.
Okay, right? So you could say that, but I feel like a more like lateral correlation would be, do you know that they have like a comic app right now? And rather than doing like a month or two old issues, they're doing like 2-week-old issues, and then they're just like hitting their online digital ones.
What? No. Well, what do you mean?
So they have a current app for comic books.
Oh, okay, the app. Okay, yeah.
That issues that came out 2 weeks ago, those are the issues that they're getting.
Right.
So they're so close to current physical releases that it's more compelling to people to pay $15.
Okay.
And read everything DC has to offer from 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Versus just like, other than that, I'm just only going to support my favorite book.
And here's the thing, and I have a rebuttal for that. And my rebuttal to that is digital sales did not affect physical sales. It did not. Okay, it
It
did
did
not.
not, in the sense of people that like the character are still gonna keep buying the
So
physical copies of the character.
so here's what I'm gonna tell you. The reason why it did not affect the physical sales, because when I was looking at the data in there, I use the Robins turning LGBTQ. You know, they
They were
all
just
turning
the
gay. Right? No, no,
they
no,
were just the one.
but no, it's not the one. Dick Grayson is gay. Damian Wayne
Great ass.
Is bisexual.
Not surprised.
Tim Drake is gay.
That one was odd. But they called him bisexual, which
yeah. Spoiler is also gay.
eh,
Batgirl is questionable right now.
I'm cool with that.
Okay. So every single Robin was gay. So essentially, I use that as an example, and I looked at the sales for those, right? Physical sales obviously has been down, and then I looked at the digital sales for them. It did not affect it at all. It's not like the physical sales were down because they would rather read it on digital. That wasn't the case. It's just down permanently, right? Because again, we were talking about this 2-3 years ago. The agenda that DC has, they keep forcing it down people's throats, which is another good segue to what we're going to be talking about, to something else that I want to point out. But they're forcing it down your throats, right? We talked about how Kate Kane, which the Batwoman, is a lesbian, and nobody cared, right? Nobody cared because it was during the 52 countdown, and she was revealed on number 7 on 52 weeks now, issue number 7, I believe it is, and then 12 and then 14. But we never really knew that she was a lesbian until like the very end, and by that time we don't really care. It was a natural progression. Does that make sense? Like we were talking about this before. It was naturally progressed that this person was a lesbian, and we don't really care. We just cared about the character and the story and all that stuff, right? Sure, gay. I get it. But the way that they did with the Robins, it was just ridiculous.
They made it their forefront mechanic as the storytelling bit versus just this is them.
They were just like gay. It's like, how? Like, when did this happen? How did this happen? There's no story to it.
There is no satisfying. Like I get what you're saying. There's no satisfying pivot into the conclusion they gave the character. They just said, "This is who they are now," versus any like questioning or journey into like how they got to question it in the first place, and that's how they got their answer.
It's kind of like Iceman, right? When Iceman came out gay, we didn't really care because the Iceman character is really nice. You know, Bobby Drake. It was an amazing character, and the progression of that character was really nice. And they said that he was gay. We're like, oh, who fucking cares? Go ahead, be gay all you want.
The story wasn't carried by its like
sexual
preferences. It was based more of a story.
Exactly. But then what they started doing is that they started hammering it down to people for every single storyline. And we're just like, we get it. You know what I mean? Like, we get it, right? So I just think that DC just kind of just hammered that through people's throats instead of having it grow progressively and through a storyline, and which would have been amazing.
I feel nice. Now that it's kind of like just finally done with, I felt less it was hammering, it was more like a speed run to where they wanted to take the characters at this point.
Yeah.
Which I feel it was kind of like a very like low hanging fruit that they went for versus like really making us care that they had like revelations of their own lives and where they want to go with it versus just
because like we knew
it was thrown out there and then that's it.
Yeah, because we knew from Alpha Flight, North Star, we knew North Star was gay and people were okay with that. There was no up in arms in there whatsoever, right? No one was having their Fitchburg moments. It's just that
a lot of those characters that we didn't care about is just because their sexuality was never brought onto the table in the first place.
It wasn't the main focus.
It wasn't the main focus. It's just like, hey, I just went back home. I chilled. This is my partner.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
No,
well,
I'm just going out there to be a hero again.
With DC, they just made it the main focus. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, if they didn't make it the main focus, I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been really fine if they didn't make it.
It felt like one of those, like, you guys just don't get it.
Yeah, it's like, no, we do get it. Look, can we just progress with the story? Do you know what I mean?
Like, what happened to you trying to solve this murder?
Yeah, like we don't care. It's just that if they would have just progressed with the storyline and not made their sexuality as the main focal point on everything, it would have been fine. Like, I think it would have definitely been fine, and people would have been fine with it.
Also, the other problem is that we probably wouldn't have cared or noticed if it wasn't for the fact that they did so many of them simultaneously.
Yeah, they did it all.
It was like, it almost felt like it was written by the same person or the same like editor.
Yeah.
Like, they all had to go through the same editor.
Yeah.
Somehow. And
but here's
why we got so many.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing now too as well. So the fact that they were beating that down in people's throats kind of it contributed to low sales on DC. And in my opinion, I mean, like, I could have done more studies on that, like 100 more studies, which would have been more specific, but I just did that because I'm lazy and I'm just that kind of person. But exclusive variant covers is another thing that actually made it worse. So if you guys do not know, which I don't believe that you would know unless you are within the environment of what I'm going to be talking about, is that there is a live selling app there too as well called Whatnot, and they have their own publishing company, right? They have their own publishing company. The difference between that publishing company and, say, DC and Marvel is that with DC and Marvel, when you do an exclusive variant cover, you have to be verified. That means that you have to be a legitimate retailer with a legitimate tax ID with everything legit in order for you to do an exclusive variant cover. For example, Lewis works for Nowhere Toys. Nowhere Toys can do an exclusive variant cover anytime they want because they are a legitimate company and they have a tax ID. I have a tax ID too as well because I am an online comic book retailer too as well, and I can do an exclusive variant cover. What Whatnot Publishing is doing is that they don't give a fuck whether you are verified retailer or not. You can literally sign up for that fucking thing, and sign up for that app, and then the next day be like, I want to do an exclusive variant cover of that, and they would say yes. And this is where it becomes dangerous. For retailers, it's a lot of hassle to go through exclusive variant covers with Marvel and DC, but that hassle was necessary evil because of what's happening right now. They took that hassle out on Whatnot, and they gave everybody an opportunity to do an exclusive variant cover as much as they want. And that is a problem because now almost every week somebody has an exclusive variant covers for the books that they're doing. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Everybody has an exclusive variant cover. Okay. And it's gotten out of hand. Okay. One thing that everybody freaking hates, which I hate too as well, I read it. It's called Ninja Funk. You know about that, Lewis. I told you about that.
Yeah, I saw it. I was very whatever about it.
It's a garbage book. It's horrible. Ninja Funk sold 104,000 copies. And I already broke down on how this works and how they sold that much copies because, you know, I'm not going to get into that because it's not pure sales. Most of it is marketing and most of it are giveaways and all that stuff. It contribute to their sales. Everybody that particular book, Lewis, get this, has 55 exclusive variant covers.
It reminds me of the Berserker book then.
I knew you were going to say that. Berserker only had 25. Boom Studios capped it at 25. Right?
That's wild.
25. This book has 55 exclusive variant cover. 55! And they were all selling them at a premium price, which they have no business to. Like, you have no business selling it at a premium price. Yes, you can sell it to any price that you want, but for a book that is unproven, for a writer, illustrators that are unproven, people are paying high value price for no particular fucking reason. Because the influencers, the comic book influencers, the comic toms in the world, and the nerdy girls and all that crap that don't know anything about comic books are hyping up this book as if it's the greatest book ever. Right? And then guess what's been happening? Ever since its release in November, right now we're in March, you can get #1 Ninja Funk still, but not for a high price. You can get it for $1 now. And at the day of and then during the time of its release, people were paying $100, $200 and all that stuff in there. So now what's gonna happen? You over inflate a book that has no value whatsoever. You overproduced it, fucked over a lot of people who spent hundreds and thousands of dollars in this book. Now actual books are not selling. Like actual good books. Once Upon a Time in the End of the World, amazing book. It went to 4 printing. Yes, that's fine. Right? But no one is paying premium price for those books anymore. It's a nice book, but I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who's like, comic book stores are just like, no one's buying this book. I don't understand why. There's so much good books out there. So now exclusive variant covers are contributing to the downfall of these things. Yes, we talked about how DC is doing all these. They have a political agenda that they're doing and all that stuff. But there are still good storylines happening in there. I bet some of you guys don't even know about the failsafe storyline. Some of you probably somewhat heard it, but none of you actually read it. Have you read the failsafe storyline, Lewis?
The one where Batman accidentally kills Penguin, and then his failsafe project, which is a giant machine specifically made to counteract all of Batman's actions before he even commits to them.
Exact same one. Failsafe is the only thing that can actually kill Batman
because he specifically made it.
Yeah. So it's essentially think of the Tower of Babel or Babel, whatever you want to call it, Tower of Babel storyline, where Batman found out everyone's weakness and all that stuff, put it in his database, and then
contingency plans.
Ra's al Ghul found out and then used it against everybody. Think of that Tower of Babel, but on a physical manifestation of a fucking indestructible robot.
But right? Only specifically Batman.
Yeah, it was Batman. Well, no, because it also defeated Superman. So it has everybody's weakness in the Justice League, including how to fucking kill Batman, right? And the only way that it's going to stop, this machine will stop, is if it kills Batman. And the reason why it's called a failsafe is it called a double entendre? I forgot what the meaning is. But the word failsafe has 2 meanings to it. Failsafe is the name of the robots too as well, but also the failsafe code. There is only one person in the world of DC that knows that code,
and he's
dead. It is fucking Alfred. Alfred is the only one.
R.I.P. best dad.
That's the best stepdad ever. He is the only one who knows it. So the whole storyline is amazing. But none of you or most of you don't even know about it because you're spending money on goddamn Ninja Funk that leads nowhere. So like a book that has no value, has no meaning. You're spending money on this, and then all of a sudden,
admit that the writing is basically on Chip Zdarsky's like shoulders. Not only is this man writing Batman, he's also writing Daredevil to
Man,
success.
Chip Zdarsky is a fucking legend, man. I'm just gonna say that, man. This
He
man,
brought back Daredevil from the
he
grave
he does not get enough credits
for what he has done.
on what he has done in 2022. He was writing like 50 fucking books all at once, man. 50 fucking books all at once.
With satisfying endings.
Yeah. So Chip Zdarsky is a fucking like that, man. That makes
he's
the
lunatic that decided to marry Daredevil with Elektra.
That guy makes me proud to be goddamn Canadian, man. That man.
He makes me proud to be alive.
So, but none of you guys know that because you're just fucking spending money on something that means nothing. It's just pretty much garbage. So now we are in the start of the 90s again. Yes, it starts with DC, but it's gonna have a domino effect. We've talked about this in our podcast many podcasts ago, and it's fucking happening right now. The Frankies have gone bankrupt or going through restructuring. That's what they always call them, right? Restructuring of our company.
Yeah.
Restructuring of our company.
It either means it's gonna merge with somebody else, or they're just gonna file for bankruptcy.
No, they're just gonna fade away, and that's about it, right?
And then that's it. Yeah, I mean, that's what filing for bankruptcy is. They have to sell all their assets and all that.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a fire sale. That's the liquidation will be the next one that we're pretty much.
That's part of the bankruptcy. You have to do that.
Yeah, liquidation is the next one that we're waiting to hear. Frankies have gone through bankruptcy, and then on top of that, the oversaturation of exclusive variant covers are there now too as well. So the confidence of people actually getting comic books it's going down on the DC side. Again, it's on the DC side. Okay. Hopefully James Gunn's announcement actually reignited some buyers' confidence in there. From what I've been seeing,
buyers' confidence has increased for Superman.
Yeah, so
specifically.
Yeah, so buyers' confidence for DC comic books have increased a lot since the announcement of James Gunn because it's an open field now because we don't know beyond what he said what else is going to be a key issue, right? So, but what we know what he did was he mixed everything with newer DC comic books and old DC comic books. So not only that you're buying new ones, you're getting old ones too as well. I don't know about you, Lewis, but the interest on Miracle Molly has fucking increased too as well.
I mean, so did for All-Star Superman, which
Punchline, Miracle Molly, everyone's up for grabs right now. Okay, remember when we were selling in the store Supergirl, the Woman of Tomorrow, and nobody fucking bought it?
Yeah, now it's like that's what all that people ask me for, and I'm like, I don't know what to do for you, bro.
You should tell them, be like, you know what? We had this 2 years ago. Where the fuck were you?
I mean, I would have liked the Power Girl book to be, come back, but you don't buy it.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
So now the interest has gone up for DC, and hopefully that actually helps out DC a little bit. But as in this current moment right now, sales for DC has gone down. Hopefully this is just a one-off. But I said before, this is going to be the start of it. It's going to be a domino effect. But with the current announcement, I am very hopeful and optimistic that there is a resurgence on DC sales, and we don't have to go through that whole 90s thing again, because the way that Whatnot Publishing is pumping up all these books that don't matter at all is insane, and that there has to be a counter somehow. You know what I mean? They have like the fucking Exile with Wesley Snipes. I'm like, what the fuck is this book, man? It's like
that really did come out of left field.
Essentially, it's fucking Blade.
It is. It 100% is.
It's Blade without Blade.
It's Blade with no vampires.
Yeah, it's like Blade without vampires.
It's like mutants or something.
I don't know.
It's okay. It's whatever.
Well, here's the thing. I criticize and I actually talk shit about Whatnot, Ninja Funk a lot because I've read it and it was like a piece of garbage. Quested, the same thing too as well, piece of garbage. I can't say anything bad about Exile because I haven't read it yet. That's just stupid if I were to talk bad about something that I don't know. You know what I mean?
It's mid.
Yeah. So I read I read Ninja Funk. I read fucking Quested, and I was just like, this is fucking horrible writing. And I mean, like uh uh my 11-month-old can actually fucking write better, right? And a lot of people, and the funny thing is, a lot of people were criticizing me. They're like, well, can you do better, huh? Can you do better? I was like, no, obviously not, because I'm not writing anything. I know my fucking limit. I can't write, I can't draw.
I have a pretty great premise storybook for Batman.
Yeah, I mean, like, let me put it this way, Lewis. Our idea for a comic book, do you remember what it is?
Dude, was it?
How do you forget?
Vampire Bears.
Vampire Bears has a lot better premise, and people were just like, fucking write it. We had Todd. What did we pitch it to Todd McFarlane? We didn't, right? No, but we pitched it to Ross Ritchie. Ross Ritchie's like, yo, it's not a bad idea. Just clean it up a little bit. Ross Ritchie was like, yeah, man, that's.
I think Ross Ritchie was just being nice.
I think he was being nice too as well, but still, you know what I mean?
But I think Ross Ritchie, what he meant was like, that needs a lot more work.
But if we're not careful, and you keep feeding on these exclusive variant covers that leads to on books that leads to nowhere, and that doesn't matter, we're gonna be back in the 90s in like no time, by the end of this year, if you keep feeding on these garbage books like fucking Ninja Funk. We're gonna be back in the 90s again in no fucking time. But that's my take on that, though. I mean, like, that's just my thing. I just wanted to bring that up too as well, because I remember we were talking about that. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about too as well is and this was out of the left field. It just happened last night, and everyone's been talking about it. So we might as well fucking talk about it too as well, man. Who fucking cares? Jonathan Majors, man.
Okay.
Jesus. I mean, what is happening? What's happening with the MCU now, man?
I don't know. You have to explain.
Like, Phase 4 has been.
Oh, just like the movies?
So Phase 4 of Marvel has not been up to par. Storytelling wise, has been garbage. A lot of people are like, oh man, Thor Love and Thunder really sucked. I'm like, it did really suck. Don't get me wrong. But again, that's like the third movie for Taika Waititi. So he's just like, whatever. Just
so
like,
the problem, right? Like, the main problem with people was like, they poorly combined comedy with horror.
Mm-hmm.
And rather it be like a fusion, it was like two different people trying to fight.
Yeah.
For if it was funny or if it was dark.
I felt like fucking watching Josh Whedon's Justice League, man. I think that was a lot better than what Phase 4 was, man. Phase 4 was been horrible for Marvel. And on top of that, Phase 4 being horrible, Jonathan Majors was arrested because of domestic violence, right? Apparently he hit his girl. Apparently he had his girlfriend and all that. Yeah, allegedly.
When he is convicted of said action, then I will be on everybody else's bandwagon of like, fuck that guy.
Right. But the thing is that what I want to get to is that it's not a good it's not good publicity.
It's not a good public image.
No, it's not good. It's not good at all. And with the current state of Marvel, it's not a good look. It's not really not a good look. You know what I mean? Like, not at all.
Yeah. So I mean, you gotta hope for the best about, like, I feel that companies nowadays have to be more picky on who they're getting as talent.
Yeah.
There has to be like background checks for these people at this point, because it's somehow like some of their best talent is some of their worst convicted people.
Yeah.
And I say convicted because it's not Like they weren't convicted guilty.
Yeah. Here's what I will tell. Here's what I will say on it though. As of right now, he's allegedly he did something, right? I'm a big advocate for separating your personal life with your business life, right? What he does on his personal side, let's just say he does get convicted at it, it's fucking horrible, right?
Yeah, and he is a monster.
Yeah, he's a monster. Is he a good actor? Yes. Right.
But still a monster.
If you like his acting and you watch his movies, does that mean that you're supporting a monster? No, you're
Or
not
that you're
supporting a monster.
morally bankrupt? No.
Yeah, yeah,
You
no,
just
yeah,
like a good product.
yeah. Your morality is still intact. Don't worry about that, right?
And
Just
if
because,
you really did care that much, you would stop buying
yeah,
Disney and Hasbro products right now.
yeah. Just because you
Nike
watch,
shoes.
yeah, let's just say that he did get convicted at it. Just because you watch Creed 3 and you're like, oh my god, consciously I'm like, I'm supporting a bad person. You're not supporting a bad person in his personal life. Yeah, he's a horrible person.
But you're also forgetting everybody that worked on that movie.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the people that worked on that movie and worked hard on that movie. That's basically who you're supporting. It's just based on your perspective, right?
And if you really do have a problem with them, just do like everybody else. Just like complain, argue to what is it? Who's the producers of these things? Like Creed?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, just like tell anybody or whatever studio that's producing, it's like, hey, I don't feel it's right to give this person another job after being convicted of said crime.
And I think that's what James Gunn is noticing too as well with the whole Flash with Ezra Miller. It's like Ezra Miller's personal battles, that's his own personal demon. But this
By the way, it's actually a fucking monster.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he fucking grooms little girls and all that stuff. I have a little girl. Obviously, I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna watch that movie. Fuck that.
I'm not gonna have. I'm not gonna have my little
Flash.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have my little girl next to fucking Ezra Miller at any time, at any point in time. That's a given,
fucking
right?
Monster.
But would I watch the Flash? I would.
I won't.
The Flash.
I won't. I watch it in other forms, but I ain't paying for that in movie theaters.
No, and that's completely fine, right? And that's completely fine.
But I will watch this movie. I'm just gonna wait a while.
But what I'm saying, Lewis, is that your morality is not being questioned if you just want to watch the movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, you can go watch the movie. Yeah. I don't care. You're a grown man.
Exactly. No, but if you don't want to watch it, well, what I'm saying is that if you don't want to watch it because of what he is personally, that's your own preference, and people should respect that, right?
Both ways are fine. I personally don't care.
Exactly, right? People should respect that. What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't judge the film based on the guy's personal issues and problems, right?
Yeah, no, I know how to separate the art from the artist,
and that's
why I think Ye is a complete psychopath, but at the same time, he's good.
He's a fucking good producer, and that's what they're trying to get to now with DC right now. It's like Ezra Miller has his own demons and is fucking horrible, but this film is an actual good film, right? It's a really good film. It's not Batgirl, okay? That's what I'm telling you. It's actually a good film.
Your hate for Batgirl is so specific. Versus, I have a Batgirl shirt in my closet that they gave me for free. It's one of my best shirts.
Listen, that movie was so horrible that they didn't even have a release date, nor did it even greenlit. Like, they greenlit the production, the post-production, and then they're just like, we're keeping it in the vault.
Listen, I will never agree with you because you never cancel my man Brandon Fraser. I don't care who you are.
No, just a side note, man. If it wasn't for DC, and I'm just gonna say this out loud, and essentially, you know it to be true, Lewis.
The old DC Batman Forever movies and all that.
No, if it wasn't for Doom Patrol, we would not have the Brandon Fraser that we have now. True or not true?
Not at all. We wouldn't have him at all. We wouldn't even get Whale. Such a good film. Watch it.
Doom Patrol gave him a chance. if you think of anything else that he's done before Doom Patrol that's like mainstream, there was nothing.
Uno reversed his blacklisting.
Yeah. So he was blacklisted, and then Doom Patrol said, we're gonna take a chance on you. They took a chance in Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was a big hit. People loved Doom Patrol. And then all of a sudden,
still had it.
And then everything just started coming. And here's the thing about Doom Patrol. He wasn't even in the costume. He was just the voice.
Voiceover.
It was just voiceover, except for like flashback that you see him, and that's about it. Right? So if it wasn't for Doom Patrol, we would not have the Brandon Fraser that you know now. That the Academy Award winning Brandon Fraser. That's all I'm saying.
They shouldn't still have not cancel Batgirl. I don't care how bad or good it was. We do not cancel a movie with my man Brandon Fraser in it.
Listen, man. If
they might reboot they might make another Mummy film.
Here's what I'm gonna say. The Batgirl was a horrible movie, so they never really got a release date.
How can you say that? You're just making assumptions.
Hold on. I'm not done yet. The Batgirl movie was horrible, so it never got a release date. But if we have to put up with 7 Resident Evil fucking movies, you can release that goddamn Batgirl.
100%.
And that's all I'm saying, man. All right. So
if you
let Paul W.S. Anderson fucking make Mortal Kombat 2 and 7 Resident Evil movies,
you would let that man finish? How dare you?
You can release one fucking bad movie, which is Batgirl, man. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Let me put it this way. You had to go through Sony. Well, it was Sony, right? Sony had to go through.
I think so, yeah.
Sony had to go through all 7 movies of horrible movies to land one good video game based movies. Actually, 8, including Uncharted. They had to go through all 8 horrible video game based movies to land one fucking mega hit, and that's all you needed. And that's The Last of Us, and that's it, right?
So good.
It's so fucking good, right? It's so
anybody who has this weird hate boner against it because certain characters got changed. I'll tell you what, man. They didn't get changed. They were just never given background stories.
They were never they were never given background stories at all. When they gave them a background story, it was fucking amazing. Okay, that's all that gamers like myself and Lewis ever asked. We want
your weird argument against the priest being anti-Christianity. No, that's how that entire scene played out.
It's like all cannibals. That's all we ever asked for. All gamers, all we ever asked for is this. You see this, put it over here. That's it. Like, I understand, because like you gotta understand the workings behind it, the legal workings behind it. Because if you do a direct adaptation, you have to pay the writers and all those other people who did it first, right? Royalties. And I get that, right? I get that. But what Naughty Dog did was, this is too precious. So what we'll do is that we'll do a partnership with it. Instead of actually just giving you the whole property, we'll do a partnership with it. So I have a theory that Naughty Dog pretty much said, we're not gonna take all royalties. We'll take royalties based on how successful the show is. That's what I think will happen. That's just my take on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like instead of saying we want it all up front, it's like, well, depending on how successful this show is, which it is, because they bet it all. They said, we'll just take it from there. I think that's what happened. That's just me, but that's just a little brief on the Naughty Dog part, though. So, but yeah, the way I look at it is like, what do you guys think about the oversaturated exclusive variant? The oversaturated market in there and the decline of DC sales, because it's just been horrible. So, what do you guys think about that too as well? We're gonna try to get some guests here again. I would like to talk to Todd McFarlane again, because I think he's getting close on the Spawn release pretty soon. I think he's going to go to pre-production pretty soon. But yeah, we'll see if we can do that. I will be in Vegas Comic-Con though, Lewis.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll be in Vegas Comic Con. I'll be streaming exclusively on Drip on that. So if you guys want to see all your favorite artists, if you're looking for a book, go to tmac01.com and then you can sign up for Timmy at the Con in there too as well. I'll be broadcasting live in there. I'll probably do some interviews and see how that goes too as well. But that's going to be on April 27th until 28th to the 30th. April 20th to the 30th. I'll be in Vegas there too as well. So, Lewis, any last words for some people there? Nothing.
Try not to get stabbed in the back. It's easier than done.
There you go. And then you guys can find Lewis at Nowhere Toys if you guys are around the Miami-Dade area. He'll be there.
If you're looking for old man wisdom, hit me up. I'll bring out the cane. Everybody gets one token, so you get one answered. No matter how stupid the question, that's still your one answer.
Oh man, so there you go, man. There you go. So you can find Lewis there at Nowhere Toys in there. If and then I will be at Drip starting April 4th. That's my debut stream there. It's going to be an all giveaway stream. I'm giving away a Secret Wars 8 there too as well. So it's going to be on Drip Shop Live. So again, if you have Androids or Apple phone or whatever, I guess there's only two operating system out there, just Apple and iOS and Android. So you can download.
There used to be Mint Mobile that Ryan Reynolds things, and then T-Mobile bought them out.
Oh man, we're just gonna talk about that later on. Was it 3.2 billion or 1.3 billion? Jesus.
Yeah, you know how I love like losing options to use cell phone providers.
So I will be at Drip Shop Live in there starting on April 4th. I'll be streaming exclusively there too as well. Go ahead and bookmark my shows in there. My debut show, I'll be doing an all giveaway show in there too as well. So make sure that you guys check out Drip Shop Live. But other than that, we'll back on our regular schedule programming in here. We'll have this on a weekly basis. That's it. I'm good for now. And then I always end all my streams with the immortal words of Jay-Z. I might as well end it with this word too as well on this show. You guys could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. Have a good day, guys.